Hello everyone, welcome to Longarming by Jaclyn. This is a really quick one. I was reminded that not everybody who you're talking to as a quilter knows basic sewing terminology or understands what's going on, and that includes people out there who have come into a quilt top or found one in the attic and want to get it finished and don't even know how to start talking to a quilter or a longarmer to get that done. So real quick, regular sewing or taking a seam is when you take two separate pieces of fabric and you put them right sides together, and you would sew a seam along the edge, and then you fold them open and those two pieces of fabric are joined into one. And you don't see the stitching, but you do have a little flap of so you've got the little edges. That's called the seam allowance. When you open this up, and this would typically be hidden inside a quilt or inside a garment where it's finished and hidden, but you do not see the actual stitching in there. You just see two pieces of fabric joined. So that would be taking a seam. And then top stitching is visible stitching that's done on top. So if I were doing top stitching, I would have two pieces of fabric. Normally there's something in between, which is the puffy insulating part of the quilt. And I would be doing visible stitching across the face of the fabric. And you see the stitching, you see the actual thread itself, and it makes a design. And you might see where the stitching pinches the fabric in. So you see like the valley where the fabric and the stuffing is squeezed, and then the poofy area where it's not squeezed next door to it. So that is top stitching. A good example of top stitching is on jeans. When you have a seam, you have this like gold bronzy color thread that goes down. That is top stitching because you see the actual stitches. And then on the other side of your jeans, they put a different kind of stitching. So this is like a typical join. You see the wrinkles here? That's where the seam allowance is. The edges of the fabric go this way, and they've made a mark in the die. But this is a typical join, and you don't see the stitching there. You just see two pieces of fabric coming together. So a normal seam, and this is a normal seam with added top stitching, which is the visible stitching here. And that's an everyday example of a seam versus top stitching. Quilting is just specialized top stitching. It's top stitching in fun shapes all across the top of your quilt or quilted item. So it would be all over the face of the fabric. Normally that's done after the whole top layer is joined together and pieced with the patchwork. But there are methods called quilt as you go, where it's just like it sounds. You're doing the quilting as you're making it, so the top is not all together as you're doing the quilting. It's kind of a different technique, but that's it. Thanks for joining. Have a good day. Bye!